Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you're watching this. Welcome. How is your day? How was your week? How was work? Um, Sean was busy. He's been busy. He hasn't. I think was it this past winter? He's had maybe one slow day, 1 or 2 slow days. I don't know. So, how have you had any slow days? I know normally in the winter it kind of slows down. But yes. And happy Martin Luther King Day. Yes, thank you for civil rights, everything that you've done for that, and to all the unsung heroes that we haven't learned about that did everything they could for civil rights. And so appreciate that. We're talking about you can heal your life. How does that work? So a lot of times I am a glass half full type of person. But I also believe that sometimes you have to look at the whole glass or the half empty part to get the glass half full or to have your cup runneth over. So sometimes you have to look at something. You have to look at sometimes how you look at sometimes how you look at something can change the outcome. My mind went blank there for a second. Something how you look at things can change. Sometimes how you look at things can change the outcome. So what do I mean by this is to how it affects you. So I was on a management team of a bookstore years ago, my previous work life, many moons ago. And it was a 2-story bookstore, and we opened at 10. But we were in at 7 to get things done. You had to get books on the shelves, everything, right? So one morning when I was the opening manager, we had so many people call out that day. We were going to be short-staffed. We just had so many people call out that day. Obviously not enough people to be able to make up for this. So that morning when that was going on, I had 2 choices. I could go in. I could get upset that these people were going to call out, or these people call out. It's going to be a shitty day because we had short staff. No telling what was going to go on, right? Because a lot of times it's like when it rains it pours, right? Or I could get upset about it, or I could just accept it. It's just going to be one of those days and roll with the punches. All right, staff is, short staff. A lot of times what happens when you have short staff is, things tend to go wrong. People, you tend to have a bad day or whatever. So just expect you're going to have a lot of more challenges than you normally would, right? So it's just going to be one of those days. So I chose the latter. Chose to roll with the punches. When we had our team meeting before we opened, I was like, all right, guys, look, I had a lot of people call out today. It's going to be, it's just bear with me. It's going to be one of those days, we're going to get through this. And you know what? We had a lot of fun. We ended up having a great day. And I earned some respect from my colleagues, who then praised how I had handled the situation, because we had another manager who wouldn't have handled the situation that way. They would have handled it the other way. They would have chosen the other path. But not that this is about praise. It's about the outcome. I could have made my team have a bad day. And the shoppers who came in could have had a bad day. And the business could have had a bad day if I chose not to have taken that path. So the thing with you is, in your field, sometimes you're just going to have a bad day because of what you do. You're going to have those bad cases. You're going to have those clients who are upset because of whatever's going on with their animal. Because sometimes it's very scary. And sometimes they come across mean, or come across just really not meaning the way they come across. They're just concerned about their baby. Trust me, I know, I get it. I try to be as accommodating and as understanding as possible and try not to be that person. But sometimes, depending on what's going on, this is my most important thing right here. At that point, if at that point I can easily be pushed to not understanding. As much as I try to be, like, it also depends on that person's attitude too. So again, sometimes how you go in, you can cause, if you're having a bad day, you can cause even your clients, if they're having a bad day, to have even a worse day, and even a worse day with you. And so anyways, so if you get up in the morning and you seem to be having a rough morning, you just take a deep breath and say, okay, this day is going to be one of those days, and just be prepared for it. Depending on some of the challenges you face, you might can laugh at it and say, of course this happened, right? Get up, you're having a rough morning. You get in the car. Your car takes a little bit to start. Of course that happened, right? You should expect that. You get into work, the computer's not working. Something's going on. And you just say, of course this is happening. Let's just, you just get through it. Just roll with the punches and just know, of course this is going to happen, and just roll with the punches and go with it and laugh about it. I always say, Murphy is my best friend. Like Murphy's Law. If, always expect the unexpected to happen. It's Murphy's Law. If somebody says, like, yeah, Murphy's my best friend, like, it's no big deal. Like, I've just come to accept that. And so, and a lot of times when you do that, it helps your team get through it as well. Because if you think about it, if you go in, if you have a bad attitude, you're throwing things. Yes, Sean worked with a doctor who actually threw stuff. Not good. How's it going to make your team feel and want to work with you? Think about it. Like, would you want to work with somebody that's throwing things? That's, like, that's being grumpy. Like, I get and understand bad days. I'm not saying, I get you have frustrations. I'm not saying not to, right? I'm not saying you always have to look at the glass half full, by no means. Because sometimes you just can't. I'm not saying that if you have a hard case that you cannot process and deal with your feelings in that moment. I'm not saying that. You can. You should. What I'm saying is sometimes going and looking at it at a different angle will help you be able to get through the day easier, right? I'm not saying that if you go in and look at these days, that if you have a rough day, I'm not going to say you're not going to have 5 euthanasias that day, right? I'm not saying, that's still a possibility. And that's not going to say one's any, easier than the other. Like, they're never easy. I'm saying that if you go in and say, okay, it's going to be our day. Oh yeah, of course I have 5 euthanasias. Like, that's not to say you can't have those feelings and process those feelings. That's just to say it just helps you deal with it a little better or easier. Well, better with the people around you. And sometimes it also makes you feel like the universe isn't beating up on you as much. If you go in, like, of course, if you're like, if you kind of expect something like that to happen in a sense, like, you just don't feel like, the universe hates you today and you're being beaten up on. I mean, sometimes you feel like that, right? But too, even if you start off, like, sometimes, like, if you start off grumpy or, oh my God, I'm having a horrible day or whatever, you can still turn it around in the middle of the day. You can stop and just like, you know what? Of course I am. And just kind of laugh at it. Like, of course so-and-so happened. Like, but it was having a rough morning. It's just one of those days, and just roll with the punches. So yes, so it's always in how you look at it. Or, like, for example, so Sean is really, I mean, he's been in emergency medicine, like, I'd say 98% of his career. He's been in emergency medicine, and he can't really do anything with our dogs. If he gets close to an animal, he has a hard time being objective treating them. He does the same with our dogs. Understandable. But I always said I never panicked. It's like, if it was an emergency situation with them, I said, you'll do what's right. Like, you'll know what to do, that you won't think about not being able to be objective. He never believed me until it happened. It was one of those things, thank God the universe worked this way, God worked this way, whatever you believe. I always thought God was watching after us this day. I ended up opening, I was working in a retail store. I was opening this one morning. So I had to be at work at 9:30. Sean ended up working a mid. Like, I think he had to be at work at noon. We had our Siberian Husky Kaya, Dresden, or short-haired Chihuahua, and Bentley. He was getting ready to go to work. He'd taken the dogs out to go potty before he left. While he was outside, Kaya had this episode. Evidently, Kaya had a pericardial effusion. Sean caught on, scooped her up, put her in the car, and was calling me on his way to work, letting me know what's going on. I said, okay, I will call the clinic to let them know that you are on your way in, because I had this vision that he would be walking in the clinic carrying Kaya, and everybody would be doing what they were doing and not paying attention when he needed help. He was in an emergency situation. So I called the clinic. Good thing I did, because everybody was busy when I called. Nobody could come to the phone. And finally, one of the people who was the fertility. She was a fertility specialist. She was also the wife of the medical director at the time, the cardiologist. The medical director is a cardiologist. Is a cardiologist. So it's her wife. And I was letting her know that Sean was on his way in, that Kaya had an episode, and she's responsive. And so she took all the information, and I said, I wanted to know. She said, we'll be waiting for him. And they were waiting for him and Kaya when they got there. They tapped her chest. So, needless to say, I looked at Sean and I said, I told you. It's like, you respond in emergencies. It was another colleague that we worked with at the time, or he worked with at the time, a good friend of ours who is internal medicine. The technician that he worked with, she would say that she had worked with him at a previous hospital, and she said that he was one of these people, like, an emergency situation, he did very well in emergency situation. He handled it well. And then after the fact, once it was done, he freaked out. So in a sense, that's a good way to be. That's a good way to do that. So yes, sometimes it's how you approach things, right? How you think things. And it's not, like I said, you don't always have to be positive all the time. Sometimes you need to have those raw emotions. You need to have that breakdown. You need to hit that rock bottom to be able to get it out, to get all of it out, and then have the strength to go back and do what you need to do. Okay? So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to be positive all the time. We're not saying anything like that. I'm just saying sometimes how you approach the situation will help the outcome of it. All right? So to help you with that, a resource to help you with that, I do recommend Louise Hayes. She actually is the founder of Hay House Publishing. She's the one that made it as big as it is for self-help books, new age books, all of that. That is her. She wrote this book, You Can Heal Your Life. This is an older version of it. If you look it up now, it's kind of like a blue cover with flowers and stuff. But yes, You Can Heal Your Life. There's also a movie, the DVD. Well, I have the DVD. You can actually watch this on YouTube, but it's just the 90-minute one. The DVD, if you have a DVD player, it has an expanded version, so it includes more than 4 hours of bonus material with it. So you do get the extra footage with the DVD versus watching it on YouTube. The DVD is available on Amazon. I do know that. So that. But she also has like these power thought cards. Oops, there we go. I love these. They're awesome. It comes with a stack. To me, they're very inspirational. Woohoo, there we go. So something like that. And they're front and back. I always think. So like this one says, divine peace and harmony surround me and dwell in me. I feel tolerance, compassion, and love for all people, myself included, on this side. And then that side says, I am at peace. I am definitely a firm believer in, like, you can kind of, you pull, and what you pull is kind of something you may need for the day and look at. I recommend all three, but if anything, you can start with one. Power thought cards, you can keep them at work if you need them. Keep them on your dresser for first thing in the morning. To do kind of see in the morning if you need to. I have gifted them to friends. I have a friend, I know it helped them out a lot. I know another one, they actually carry them in her purse. So yes, they're really good. Just kind of when I felt that it's something they need. So yes, you have those. You can Hay House. Also, I will say, if you go to Hay House's website, sometimes they run a 50% off sale, and that's better than what you can get them on Amazon. I will say that, and plus the free shipping. So definitely check out the Hay House website if it's something you want. Sometimes you can wait if you can wait for a 50% off sale. If not, definitely either their website or bookstore or independent bookstores. I'm all about supporting independent bookstores, or of course Amazon, right? Or to Audible audiobooks listen to. But yes. All right. So with that, remember, you have Lifeboat with NOMV, Not One More Vet, peer-to-peer. If you need it, if you need to reach out, someone to talk to. You also have 988. You can call or text. You can talk to someone immediately with that. Or you can text home at 741-741. Please save those numbers in your phone. However, you know, if you need someone to talk to be able to reach out. Okay? So, with that, my favorite poem, inspired by an old poem, you may not know that the world needs you, but it does. For no one else can smile your smile, say your piece, or shine your light. You are unique, and you alone can fill your place. If you were not here to shine your light, what would happen to the pilgrims passing by your empty place in the darkness without your light to help them on their way? You may not know the world needs you, but it does. All right. Remember, what you do matters, and the world is a better place with you in it. Dear Person's Company. All right, guys. Until next week, have a wonderful week. Do something for yourself. All right. And we'll see you next week.